Hey lovelies, I hope all is well because it's that time. Yes, it's that time of the year again, and Spirit Week is among us, okay? The schools love to do a good Spirit Week, and my kids wanted specific ugly Christmas sweaters. So, what I did was went to the internet and found images and got to tracing. My oldest wanted a Tanjiro sweater, so I found a little chibi, is it chibi? Of Tanjiro and traced it. Went ahead, started mapping out what I wanted, my threads and stuff like that, and adding little details to it. As you saw, I drew on the Christmas hat and the cookie, and then I got to figuring out the design of how his sweater is going to be. He likes blue, and we still doing the Tanjiro theme, so that's how we got the sleeves in the navy blue. And then I freaking digitized for the first time a full image, and this is what I'm thinking we're going with. And I went to Joann's. Oh my gosh, I miss Joann's. Got the fabric, got the thread, and I was ready to get started. So I took a sweater that I've already made for them. Go ahead and check out that tutorial if you haven't seen it. It will be in this eye right here or down below in the description. Go ahead and check it out after you finish watching this video. Now, this is a good way to make garments. Like if you bought a sweater from the store and you like the fit of it and you want to have another one and they don't have it anymore, or you just want to make your own and you know this garment fits you well, trace it. Trace it, make it. Now you're seeing me work with black fabric, but in the sketch you saw blue. I was making multiple Christmas sweaters. Like I said, I have two kids and one of them is gonna have black. Plus, I'm making birthday sweaters as well. After Christmas come birthday, birthday, birthday. Hello. So for the most part, I was busy. I was trying to knock everything out in one go. I was cutting everything out in one go. So now we're on to the sleeves, and we're going Tanjiro theme, so it's gonna be Mitch Matt all over the place, the checkered. So that was the bag. I marked it as the bag, and now I'm cutting out another bag piece for his birthday sweater. But you really want to cut that piece out in black, right, for the front of the sweater. That was the back piece. The front piece needs to be in black. Now we're going to go ahead and cut out the bottom of the sleeve. We're going to separate it, and that bottom sleeve needs to have a black version. So we have the green version, and then we need the black version, which I'm about to cut out right here. The only reason why I'm cutting out two pieces and folding over my fabric is, like I said, I am making a birthday sweater. Same concept, different fabric. His birthday sweater is going to have a black body instead of a navy body. So we're going to go ahead and just see how things is lining up. And I like how it's lining up. So I clipped it together just to see. And I was like, okay. Let me go ahead and swap because, like I said, I was just cutting them out as doubles. I didn't need to do that. But we made it work. And a good rule of thumb is your bag always has more allowance at the top of the sleeve. So you could just cut out your bag piece and then go back in and just, bring the slope down some more for your front. Anyways, now we're really getting into cutting out his bodice piece for the front of his sweater. I wanted to show you how I came up with it, and now I'm just getting into showing you the steps that I took to embroider it. This is my first time embroidering a garment. This was back in 2023. I was just figuring it out. I was doing my own thing. I was figuring it out. I knew that fleece stretch, so I added some stabilizer on the back of it where I knew the design was going to sit. You saw I printed out a picture and everything to make sure everything was lining up. I was so into water soluble stabilizer. I use that for everything. So right now I'm hooping a water soluble stabilizer. And then we're going to go ahead and float the garment on top. So I'm just really trying to get it in the middle and line it up so that I don't have any problems and it stitches right on where I need it to stitch. And basically, once I get it lined up and stuff like that, I like to fold my garments. As I said, I'm going to go to the machine. I'm going to add my basting stitch to where the design is supposed to sit, and it's going to get to stitching. So you see that square around the design, that's a basting stitch. Now, as you can see, there's black thread peeking through. That's not a part of the design. The machine wasn't acting right. It wasn't acting right, and the bobbin thread was actually showing through. That's not supposed to happen. If I'm using green, all you're supposed to see is green. If I'm using red, all you're supposed to see is red. But anyways, while that was stitching out and I didn't really notice that at the time, I went ahead and got with the sleeves, okay? So we're going to go ahead and sew those pieces together. You could use your serger machine or a straight stitch or a stretch stitch like the lightning stitch on your regular sewing machine. And now we're going to sew that. And you have this. If you line it up properly, you have this, and I like it. It's nice, it's neat. Now, out of nowhere, it kept saying that my thread, like I needed to check my needle thread. And I was like, okay, let me go ahead and rethread it and see what happens. Now, I realized that my machine do not like this thread that I'm using. That's number one. My machine don't like it. My machine is bougie. It only wants high class thread, expensive thread. That's what it wants. If it's not given that, it don't like nothing else. So I went ahead and found a design that the machine already offers, because the machine gives you designs that they know is going to stitch out perfectly. They already have it stitched to perfection, and my machine wasn't doing it. As you saw, it says check needle thread. I was like, okay, hold up, wait a minute, the needle thread didn't break. Let me go ahead and position it in a different spot and try this again. It didn't work out. I went ahead and sent it to Joann's, and that was a whole process in itself. I wanted a whole new machine because clearly you gave me a faulty machine, and they knew they gave me a faulty machine. But what they end up doing is taking the machine to get serviced. It got serviced. It's working like it's supposed to right now. Is it perfect? No. Do I want a new embroidery machine? Yes. Can I afford one right now? Not yet. But we're going to get there, and I want me a new embroidery machine. So right now it's doing what it needs to do, and I'm highly grateful, and we're going to keep rolling with it. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and do this waistband. This is all the fabric that I purchased. Do you understand? This is the only amount of fabric that you see in this clip that I purchased for all of the sweatshirts that I'm making. Because if you know one thing about ribbing fabric is expensive. Okay, so I was like, I'm going to make this work. It's children wear. How much of it do I need? So we went ahead and started cutting pieces and piecing pieces together because we was going to make this work. This was the neckband, what we had left over, because remember I said I'm making 2 of these sweatshirts, and it's going to need it. It's going to need it. So I basically cut out all of the pieces for both sweatshirts, and here we are with the neckline. And I said the show must still go on. The embroidery is not working out, but I have a Cricut machine, so we're going to get to doing this HTV design. So I went ahead and just did the HTV version of the embroidery file that I digitized. And now I'm just trying to line it up, make sure it's in the middle, and I'm pressing it for like 2 seconds. I'm taking off the protective layer, and I'm gonna go ahead and put down the other pieces. Line it up. You're only going to be pressing these things for 2 seconds. Why? Because we're just tacking it down. Because the more you press, your HTV, believe it or not, is going to start to shrink. And right here, I realized that. So I had to cut the hat part off and line that up and get to pressing. Now here, I didn't realize that some pieces of the protective layer was underneath and it got stuck. But as I continue to press, it worked its way out, thank goodness. But just be careful of that. Now you see I'm being careful. I'm like cutting things out. Like whatever left over of that clear layer is getting cut. It's getting cut. We don't need it. So I continued to do this until I was finished, and now we're going to go ahead and do the sleeves. We're going to make sure that we line up the seams at all times. That's going to determine the quality of your work. It allows everything to line up the way it's supposed to, and it won't look handmade, especially if that's not what you're going for. It will look store-bought or even better. Everything worked out well because like I said, I made this before, so everything is just going to line up the way it is. But here's what I'm talking about, lining up the seams. As you can see, we have that seam in the middle and we have that seam in the middle, and we want it to line up perfectly. Go ahead and pin that, and you can use a straight stitch because your shoulder piece doesn't really stretch, but you can use your serger if you want to. And this is what it's supposed to look like. Nice. Now we're gonna do the sleeve, so the rest of the sleeve and the body together. So we're lining up that armpit seam right there, and then we're gonna go ahead and line up where the checker prints meet, because we want everything to match. We don't want our checkers leaning. It don't look like a checker print because nothing is lined up. We want them seams to line up. We want them to look seamless all the way through, like if it was a complete circle. Like we did a complete circle, like it's not even stitched together. Now here you can use a stretch stitch, your serger, or a straight stitch, and we're gonna sew that completely down. And this is what it looks like. We're gonna turn it inside out because now we need the garment inside out to add the waistband, the wristband, and the neckline. But can you see how everything is lined up? We ain't catching no strays out here. Everything is lined up. Yes, I love that for me. Check that out. So now it's time to sew the wristband. You see I'm sewing it up the long way because that way it allows us to fold it in half. And right here, I'm going to go ahead and make my notches because we're stretching this over the sleeve. As you see, this is tiny. So that means it got to get stretched around that sleeve opening. So we need our notches to help us stretch it evenly throughout. We're going to do the same for the waistband. If you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and check out the rest of my videos. More is coming about the next sweater for my son, so check that out. Stay tuned. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing here that I did on the waistbands and add my notches. So like I said, we can evenly stretch this over the garment because you don't want too many gathers in one spot, too many puckerings and stuff like that, because two things can happen. It could just look extremely weird and unpleasant, and then the garment could start to shift. If you have so much stretch in one direction, it could just start to stretch and shift in that direction. So the garment starts to turn. So where the seam is supposed to line up on the sides of the body, it'll probably like start to shift towards the front of the body or towards the back of the body, and we don't want that. So here I'm just stretching it out, making sure it's evenly stretched through the waistband. Sew that on. And do the same for the neckline. The same concept for the wristband, the waistband, you do for the neckline. Now for me, I like to have my seam in the back. That way my kids know that is the back of the garment, especially if there is no like graphic design on the front. They know if they see that seam in the back, that is the back of the garment that goes to the back of the body, because at their age, they just putting stuff on. They're not paying attention. They're just putting stuff on. So that just goes ahead and helps them out. I notice on most things that you buy from the store, the seam is kind of like on the side closer to the shoulder seam, but I like to have mine lined up exactly in the middle. Anyways, I'm pinning that on, and I'm gonna go ahead and sew that. With the serger, you could use only a stretch stitch, which is your zigzag or your lightning stitch, because we need this to stretch over the head. And this is the finished result. If you like what you see, stay tuned for the next video. Later, lovelies.